Ladies and gentlemen, I am Kirk Berry, and you are watching the Orange Mic Live. We are blessed to have amazing artist in our midst today, and she just ripped up the orange mic like literally. Like I have to like find new paint to fix this mic now. Oh my goodness. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Alicia Cinnamon.
Hello, hello. Thanks for having me.
Wow, thank you so much. That was an amazing performance.
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, Lord have mercy. Such talent, and we are blessed to have you on the show. And it's just amazing to know that you're with us. And we are so honored and blessed to have you. Thank you. Thank you again.
Likewise. Appreciate it.
Wow. Man, let the people know who you are. Tell them what's going on, and yeah, tell them who you are.
So I'm Alicia Cinnamon, aka Toronto's favorite spice. I am a singer-songwriter, obviously from Canada. I like to refer to what I do as artivism, and
I
it's
like that.
basically a combination of activism and artistry.
Okay.
So pretty much I try to use my platform just to discuss social economical issues that are going on.
Yes.
Particularly things that are happening in the Black community, and then also just life as being a female. So
Yes.
that's
That's good.
artivism.
I actually like that. What's the name again? How you say art?
Artivism or
Artivist.
an
It's-
artivist.
I like that.
Yeah.
That should be like one of your T-shirt, like
Right, I know.
slogan. Especially have the meaning like
Exactly.
underneath it
True,
with its
true.
quotations
Very
and stuff.
good idea.
Yeah, there you go. I like that. So what's really cool about that is because the terminology or how you put the words together, which is great. I've seen that more. Well, obviously, I see it in sports, and I also see it in music, but we don't necessarily give it some type of I guess a title or something. But it's just the individual
Right.
who does that work
Right.
is recognized as someone that does that. So I
Right.
like how you can identify with something that can now make people really recognize that, hey, you're not just an artist, you're not
Right.
just an athlete, you have influence.
Right. Exactly.
And your voice is not just a voice. It's like it speaks volumes
Right.
in many ways. And when you can speak out on something, and be passionate about something, and shed some light on things that need some light,
Right.
people will listen. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Yeah, I love that. I love that. I really hope
Thank
that you don't stop. That's something that's well needed.
Yeah. It definitely is, especially in our community. Absolutely.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh wow. We could definitely talk about that in many ways. Wow. So let's talk about specific things that were you as an activist would be needed in certain places in our community, or
Yeah.
in the music industry, or in society. Where would you kind of shed some light on?
So I have a new single out called "The Revolution Has Been Televised," and basically I wrote this song just to kind of I don't know if you guys are familiar. There's what is it called? "Lift Every Voice" is the Black national anthem,
Yes.
and I was
Oh,
like,
yeah.
it would be kind of cool if we could have something a little bit more modernized. And I felt like people are always saying Black Lives Matters.
Yeah.
Specifically recently with all the protesting and stuff that are happening, and
Yeah.
as somebody for myself, it's like when I first started doing music and I was talking about these issues and being a part of it, it's like being a Black female, it was like, don't do this and don't do that because it'll stifle your career or you'll get blackballed. This
Yep.
isn't really what they want. And I continuously did it, and I did go through obstacles of why don't you just twerk or do this or do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And
It's
so
typical.
exactly.
Right.
And so now that it's trending, Black Lives Matters is trending. I wanted a song that kind of disassociated myself from the Black, because for some reason people thought I was like the Black Lives Matters leader of Toronto. I was like, no, I'm just like, I think because her name is Aisha or something, so maybe that's where they get the complication from. I'm like, no, I was
okay.
really I was the artist that they would call for a lot of their
Yes.
protests and stuff to come perform, because I had music that fit what it is that they were doing. But I'm like, I wanted to disassociate myself from the Black Lives Matters organization, in the
course.
sense that it's like, this is bigger than an organization or a
Much
hashtag.
bigger.
Like, this is literally Black people crying for our lives to matter. And people are like, well, this person's getting killed and that person's getting just all this other stuff. So When I wrote the song, The Revolution Has Been Televised, it's just kind of like, okay, I wanted to wait until the protests died down because, like, like it says in the song, when the protests stop, I better still see you in the streets.
Powerful song.
And thank you. And that just kind of epitomizes like what I've been doing throughout my entire career. It's like I push the button when it's not trending, and then it kind of sucks because when it is trending, it's like I don't really get the credit for that. It's given away to the clout chasers and all that stuff, and then a lot of them will try to, because they know the truth, like this is somebody who's been talking about it, it's like, let's silence that person so that we can take credit for the movement. And it's like, it's not about credit. It's like, do we actually want to make a difference, or are we just doing this because it's trending right now? So that's pretty much I would say has been the biggest aspect of me being an artivist, is that I've consistently been talking about this for like the last 7 years, and it's not something that's ever going to change. Whereas I've seen some people, like, if they're not getting enough streams or follows from it, then it's like, okay, let me go back to the party stuff or this or that. So,
to get people's attention.
Exactly.
It's so sad. That has to happen. Like, why can't anyone be paying attention to what needs to be paid attention to?
Exactly.
The truth, the things that's important, the things that really matter. Like, why do we have to, like, do the whole, like you mentioned, like, why does twerking get attention? Why? And why does that have to be associated to the intelligence of black women?
Right.
It doesn't make sense to me.
I mean, to me, it's like there's nothing wrong with having fun, but it's just like a lot of us get boxed in. It's like you either twerk or you're conscious. And I was like, I'm going to do it all. I'm not, we're multifaceted people. Like, I'm not a one-dimensional person. So, I might have a 1-2 party tune that can turn up. But even in my party songs, it's like there's still a message behind my songs. So it's like, if you can, I think we live in this day and age of ghostwriters, and especially in like hip-hop and stuff, where because a lot of people are not speaking their own truth, it's hard to be like get across like what's really going on, because if I'm writing your music, I mean, I only know so much about you. I don't know what you're feeling and breathing and waking up every day. I don't know what your real heartbreaks are like, or this or that. So very few people can do like what Whitney did and pull off someone else's songs and make it be something that you'd swear like they specifically went through. Right. So I feel like that's where a lot of it is lost, is the art of being able to create your own picture and then paint it. A lot of people are just coloring in the lines and calling themselves artists. So I think with my music, it's like I'll have fun, still put out a little 1-2 party track, but for myself, it's like I make music that I want to listen to. I feel like I'm missing this substance, the Lauryn Hills, the Bob Marleys, Tupacs, and stuff like that. It's missing. So you
dropped some big names there, man. Woo! Music, man. I wanted to talk more about your music, your upbringing of music and your catalog, and of course we will get into stuff about future projects and current projects. But as we're talking about things as an artivist, I want to kind of go a little bit more into that. And something came to me as you were talking. I heard Moo Fresh. You know Moo Fresh?
No.
Moo Fresh is it's this female singer songwriter, and she's also a rapper as well.
Okay.
And she's done a project with August Green, and that's with Robert Glasper, and Carmen is in that too, and there's a couple other guys in that. I listened to, they're so good. But I watched the performance that they did on NPR, a Tiny Desk concert.
Okay.
And she had a performance with them, and one line stood out to me, like many of her lines in her rap and in her singing. But she said something that was very profound. She said that being black woman, being a woman is like being black twice.
Oh yeah, I always tell people it's a double X. Like you're a minority and you're the weaker sex.
So called, right?
Yeah.
And when I go back, and when I first heard it, the whole performance was mind blowing. Mm-hmm. But certain bars just hit me, and I'm like, what? Like, oh my goodness. And it was like after she was done her little segment, the song wasn't done. Mm-hmm. Just her segment, the crowd, the uproar is like, yeah, because I especially you can hear the women like strongly this roar like a great celebration,
Right.
and I loved it.
Right.
But but then I also, from my point of view, I loved it first of all. But then I listened to her carefully and heard her pain.
Yeah, of course.
Just the line alone to even write those bars, and then another thing to perform it with such passion.
Right.
Wow, being the woman is like being black twice.
Yeah.
So I said all that to say this, like going into talk about the music and of course being the artivist. You have to stand up in so many ways, and not just by just saying I'm going to stand up for this cause. There's so much facets of that one stand.
Yeah.
That you know, it takes such a strong person. I really do commend you and
Thank you.
appreciate you for doing all this, to stand up to everything and being outspoken and just make sure people understand
Right.
that you're not just doing this just because you're trying to get some
Exactly.
attention.
Exactly.
You want them to have attention on what you're talking about.
Exactly.
So if you don't mind, because we wanted to finish off this kind of segment, the specifics of what you stand for. I know talk about the being a black woman in the industry. How is it being in the industry and then having to also stand for certain things? How does that relate in what you do? And of course, you mentioned how it comes out in the music, but how does it relate to what you do? And what do you face? Because when the lights are off and and you get the pushback, what do you get as a pushback, and how do you respond to that?
There's a lot of pushback in the sense that, like, humbly saying this, it's like I'm the blueprint for a lot of things that people are doing.
I like that.
And the backlash comes from the fact that they don't want it to come from a black female.
Ooh.
So it's better.
Could
It
you
could
say
be
that again?
a white Latina. It could be a
say
black
it again.
male.
I'm telling you to say it again. I need you to hear that.
Yeah.
Say it again.
So it's like the backlash comes from it coming from a black female. It bothers people that
Wow.
I'm articulate. It bothers people that I'm educated. It bothers people that I'm confident, because it's like these are all the things that you don't expect from a black woman. You're not supposed to be educated. You're not supposed to be confident. How dare you like your hair,
Yeah.
your skin,
Oh,
the gap in
God.
your teeth, like all these other things. I'm like, I'm not ever going to change anything about myself because I've came this far being me.
Yes.
And this is what people have gravitated towards. So why would I change it?
Why?
And that's where I think a lot of people mess themselves up, whether it's your looks or whatever it is. It's like people were already gravitating towards it. And we all go through it. Like I went through a point in time where I was like, I know my core fans, shout out to them, were like, what is this girl going through? Because I had some personal stuff that I was dealing with where I had to step back, and I'm like, I can't let those situations change who I am as a person. Whatever it is that I was going through, it's like that's a reflection of them, not me. Like I
Yes.
treat people the way that I feel in that moment. So if I'm treating somebody like crap, it's because that's how I feel. So when the industry, so to speak, like they're, everybody has their moment where it's like, oh, you're new and everybody loves you. And then when, especially particularly in Toronto, when they realize that you are right at that cusp where you have potential to make it over, they're
Yeah.
like, no, we don't want to see the girl from high school, the next door neighbor,
Wow.
the single baby mother, the chick that was on welfare, the guy that used to be on drugs, the one that used to get beat up in school.
Yeah.
They don't want to see those people elevate, because a lot of people are still stuck. I always say they're stuck in their Al Bundy phase where they the 4 touchdowns and stuff, and like that's it. And I'm like, what have you done from since then? So yeah, I just found like a lot of the backlash came from the fact that it's not that people are saying what I'm saying is wrong. It's
Yeah.
not that they don't see what's happening. It's who it's coming from.
Ooh,
Yeah.
bars. Well,
Right?
yeah. Message. Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
I really hope people caught that. Like, it's hard to hear that. Being in the industry myself, but as a male, I see it and it bothers me. It just because I'm like, there's no need for it.
Exactly.
It really isn't. Like, what makes me better than you?
Right.
Like, why would I have to seem like I'm superior? Why? Because it's coming from you and not from me. Like, it's less important. Coming
I
from
don't
you?
even think it's that. It's theft. Like people want credit, like
Okay.
right. It's like I don't want to give the black female credit. It should come from a white man, or if nothing else, at least a black man.
Okay.
Like so that's where it goes back to what the lady was saying in terms of being black twice. It's
Yeah.
like right now it's like because my whole platform in the beginning, especially like songs like I Can't Breathe, it was dedicated to a young man named Tyson Bailey who was gunned down in Regent Park. So in the beginning, my
respect.
platform was very dedicated to black males until I realized like there's a bigger war against black females.
Yeah.
And that war is so silent and we're so fighting it alone that it's totally overlooked. And it's like, well, think about it. If you're a black man and it's rough, and we already know women are supposedly the weaker sex, what would make you think being a black female would be like a walk in the park? We get picked on from our own men. We get picked on from, and this obviously doesn't apply to every black man, but there's a lot, obviously we know the history, which, from slavery and whatnot. So there's a lot of internal issues that are projected from black men onto black female, where I found most of my roadblocks did not come from white people. It came from particularly black men.
Yep. Our own community. Yep.
Yeah. Black females to a certain degree,
Yep.
but they might, fire a little one shot on Facebook, then realize like, hey, she bucks back and leave it alone. Except for a couple of the crazy ones. But but the men, it was like a ongoing thing where it's like, man, every time I try to do something, here you are.
Yeah.
And then even the ones that I would be like working with, or I'd hire you for help, and you're still trying to sabotage me. And it's like, buddy, like you're I'm paying you, like, and you're trying to uplift somebody who's not giving you anything, like, or the amount of referrals. Like when I look, I think the most painful thing for me. And I don't really call names. Like, as outspoken as I am, it's like I don't name drop because I understand how hard I worked for my career. That saying one person's name just because you might have an issue with them can totally ruin everything they work for. So for me, it's like I'll watch people where I'm like, I know the only reason why you know this person and that person and that person is because of me. Like, and major connections, not just like a little 1-2 friend hanging out. It's like, this is real. Like this, if it wasn't for this, you wouldn't have this and you wouldn't have that.
Yep.
And I'm not asking for money. I'm not asking for anything other than just thank you and be a decent person. Like, I don't expect you to say my name every interview or whatever, but it would be nice to hear once.
Yeah.
Like when I know how much work I've done, like I document everything on my Instagram because I go back for myself. And I'll look at my stuff and be like, damn, you did that and you did this. And if they don't want to say whatever, I'll just repost it because facts don't lie.
Exactly.
Like it's there and you can see it. Whether or not you like it, it's there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, like in terms of being a female in the industry, it's definitely, I mean, it wasn't designed, I don't think, for females to be conscious or to have a voice or
That's
to
interesting.
be a person of substance. Like that's never been the plan of the music industry.
That's so hard to hear. Because it shouldn't. Again,
But it's real. It's like
I
with
hear you, but
police.
it
It's like
shouldn't be that.
they've never been designed to protect black people.
Oh.
So it's like I don't want to say why are
Lord.
we mad, but why are
Girl.
we really mad when you understand that they were designed to capture runaway slaves? Like they're still doing that to today. So instead of getting
Message.
mad, it's just like some of them don't even understand that
Yeah.
they've been pre-programmed
Yep.
into a culture that they're not even aware of why they're doing it, why the targets are
Yep.
black, and why subconsciously they're still
Yep.
targeting black people while shooting black targets, at the shooting range.
Yep.
So
Message.
I think a lot of it is just what people don't know. And my dad used to tell me like I'm too smart for my own good because if you're the smartest person in the room, you become the biggest idiot. So it was like one of those where I was like, okay, how do I I was always the know-it-all little sister, and that's annoying. So I think that's another thing where I was learning with myself, where it's like I know I have the answers, but how do I put it out there in a way where it's not coming across as like I think I'm smarter than you or this or that. It's like I genuinely am one of the 5%ers that wants to share the wealth.
Yes.
Like I'm a 5%er,
Yes.
and it's like I want to share whatever information it is that I have with my people and anybody who's willing to listen.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. You've just given us so much ideas that we can use for our future shows. Just so you know, Lord have mercy. Because you just the part that was interesting about the system that what it was designed for
Right.
police, that's a completely different topic.
Yeah.
And a major nugget that's missed in a lot of our black history, and just history in total. But when people understand the origin of the system,
Right.
like the specifics of the municipal system for the inner police, it's once you really get that, you're like, oh,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
But then I again, a lot of people will be like, oh, no, that's not true, that didn't happen.
I'm like, honestly, you can just look it up. Like, whenever people, I don't really argue with people. I just like, because,
Do your
you know,
research.
like, people will say, oh, you know, you can't trust everything on Google. I'm like, well, most of the stuff, like, as we were talking about encyclopedias before, I'm like, go look at an encyclopedia. Like,
Find
a
an
lot of the stuff that
encyclopedia.
I learned, I was very fortunate to go to
Yeah.
a school that had a very strong Black history focused program. And I didn't realize that it was just natural. Like, this is, you're learning about Asians, you're learning about
Yeah.
Anne Frank. Like,
Yeah.
why would we not learn about Harriet Tubman or Sojourner Truth? And
Yep.
those are two people, like, a lot of people have no idea who Sojourner Truth is. Like, I always try to say she's like the lesser known Harriet Tubman.
Yep.
But those are two women, like, you know, like, I had like my posters of like Brandy and Monica and then Harriet Tubman. Like, the Sojourner Truth over here. And like, and the picture of Harriet Tubman, I don't even know where my mom found it, but it was
Yeah.
like, I think she was supposedly only like maybe 40 in the picture, but she looked like she was like 80. And it was just like, this
Wow.
is somebody who, to know she lived past like over 100 years old. And she was constantly going back for her people
Yep.
at any expense.
Yep.
And until recently when Kanye decided to try to discredit Harriet, like I wanted to fight him for
Oh
that.
man.
And I'm like, do you guys know what it's like to constantly go back for people who would rather see you dead?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you know that they're lost and you're still carrying them, even though you know. It's like that. There's an old Chinese parable that talks about like, I think it was like a frog or something that got on like the snake's back or something like that. And like they were in the river
Okay.
and they needed to cross to get to the other side. It might be getting the animals. I know it was a snake. I don't remember what the other one was. Could have been a frog.
Okay.
And it's like the snake helped it carry it on its back over across the river.
Oh.
Oh no, sorry. Let's say it was a fish and it carried a snake across the river.
Okay.
And when it got to the other side,
Interesting.
the snake bit it. And it's like, why would you bite me when you know that, you know, like I just helped you and whatever. And he's like, but that's my character. That's my nature. You're supposed to expect that. And I was like,
Ooh.
that is so real in the sense like there like there are some people where it's like I should have known. Like I there are some situations where I have nobody to get upset at other than myself because
Yeah.
it's to be expected. And that is like, I don't think people even realize when they're crying Black Lives Matters why they're saying it. It's like, we know it's wrong to kill, but do you really understand like the history of how we even got to this point in the first place, why
Yeah.
people are so comfortable with just doing that and not realizing or why they feel that they need to counteract it with all lives matters and stuff like that. So when I took in like growing up and then like, cause I grew up downtown Toronto and then I moved to Scarborough, and when I moved to Scarborough, it didn't have a strong Black history program. And if like the most cultured people, I would say, like if you came from Yad, you might know a little bit about yourself from back home.
Big up Yad.
But a lot of the people, a lot of people knew from Yad, like they were never called an N-word until they came to North America. Like that was like the least, you're worse off calling them a John Crow. Like that was the least of their problems. Like, oh, okay, you call me the N-word, whatever, that's nothing, because it didn't carry the same weight like as it did to a North American.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think all of those different things, not that I don't get angry, but I get frustrated at the fact that it's like I have all this information, and if everybody, I don't know, it's gonna sound arrogant, if everybody just did what I told them to do,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
the world would be a better place.
Make
Like,
it
here's
plain.
the answers. Like, we're all looking for the answers. Here it is. Like, just do this. Like, it takes 10 seconds
Yeah.
to say thank you if
Yeah.
somebody does something. Like,
Yeah.
even like something so simple as like social media etiquette, where it's like, if I see you posting something and I know you're in real life, why am I scrolling past it? Like, it's not gonna cost me any money to double click.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even have to open the whole post. You could be a song you're singing.
Yeah.
Just that extra like sometimes I'll be that person where I'm following people, I'm the only like on their page, and they're looking at it like, oh, she's supposed to be this big time artist. Why is she liking her stuff? I'm like, why am I following you if I'm not gonna like what's the point of me preying your page and watching your life and monitoring you like a ghost? Like it doesn't make sense. So like a lot of the stuff that we put so much emphasis on, like it's not. We've done so much as people that we're here. We're supposed to be comfortable, but we've done too much. Like we're just supposed, like we're here and we were supposed to figure out our purpose, so we have to get comfortable in the meantime. We make clothes and this and that, whatever. But if you strip away all these things, like God didn't make this. I mean, I did pick up,
Yeah. Oh, we're gonna get into that soon.
But I was like, like all these things, like having a college education and having a Ferrari and a house and a mortgage and great credit, like that was not God's plan. That's all man's design. So if you take, not to say we don't need those things now to survive in this place, but if you really take out that extra level of stress and like really find your purpose, a lot of the stuff that we're reaching for, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter
at all. Like that's my personal opinion.
It really doesn't matter. One of my mom's great lines, she always says, like, we're all going to a grave and we're not taking anything with us. So
unless you're Egyptian.
You're going
I always want to be mummified. I'm taking all my gold. Like,
it's all inside that big tomb.
I want my cartouche. Like,
you'd be like this?
Yeah. Like, just make sure I'm dead before you pull out my braids for my nose. But I was like, I always thought, like, I don't know if they still do it, but that was like my obsession. Like, I want to be mummified because, like, I feel like I have more to offer. I don't want to just. That's it.
My goodness.
But no, I mean, it's real. Like, I think a lot of people, because I do a lot of like I watch a lot of like Warren Buffett's, and I do like a lot of like mastermind lessons and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I don't remember who said it, but it was like, we're so far off our plan that we don't realize like the best thing to have right now that's more important than money is power.
Interesting. It's
like,
true.
You could be broke, and if you're powerful and you say, hey, I need that and I need this and I need that, you don't need money once you have power. Like you can like once you get to a certain income bracket, most of the stuff that you're doing, like like a lot of the top celebrities, like people are gonna give you stuff. Because they know it's going to be seen and advertised. So once you get to a certain income bracket, it's like you're flying off of your name or your air miles or this or that. You're not actually spending the money anymore. It's you're spending power, essentially. So like a lot of people, like, I'm not saying don't eat your food and pay your bills and stuff like that, but I feel like we're kind of off our path in the sense that it's like, especially as Black people, it's like money matters, but if we tap into our power, we'll be at a whole another wavelength, create some new pyramids, whatever the case may be. But it's like we need to tap into our power. Like,
yes, we have conversations about that a lot. Like there's something that we hate hearing the terminology minority. I'm like, who said we're a minority? When you think about it, how does that make sense? Who really was running the world before?
We're only a minority in the sense of North America.
Yeah, and not, even there, I still don't even think so.
Now, okay, look at Canada, right? As much of us as we might see in like Toronto, think about places like Yellowknife.
One of my bedrooms up there
New
right
Brunswick.
now. Big up.
See, you
big
said
up
one.
here.
See,
my buddy and his family's
New
up there.
Brunswick, PEI, like we're not out there.
No.
So we happen to be in the mecca of it all, where it looks like there's a lot of us. Like I remember going to school, and until I went to school in Markham, like I always only had one white kid in my class. I'm like, where are all y'all? Like, how are you guys calling us the minorities? But I barely see y'all. But they're thinking in terms of North America, the greater, because, obviously after the African diaspora, most of the slaves were killed off, were shipped. Some of them were shipped back, was it to Liberia and Nova Scotia and all these other places. So what they had left would be considered the majority. Like, I think the Black population in America is only 12%. I think the Latino population is actually higher.
Okay.
But factor in all of the violence, the killings, the amount of men that are, incarcerated and stuff like that. So it's like our numbers should be higher, but then they did things like when they went to Jamaica and Brazil and they try to whitewash it out in India. And there's 7 countries, Brazil, Jamaica, Ecuador, Argentina, somewhere else, 7 countries where they specifically, after, the emancipation of slavery, they started sending in Europeans there to water them down.
Yeah.
So it's like, I think that's when the concept of minority came in, so to speak. But the reality is, like, there's way more Chinese people than white people. There's 1.5 billion of them, I think it is, and the world's population is 7.5 billion. So that terminology minority needs to be like minute. It needs to just be gotten rid of, because it's obviously a mind thing. Like, Europeans were really good at
manipulating.
Mind manipulation. Like, we're physical, but they're definitely mental. They fight with their mental. We fight with our physical.
Yeah, they definitely use our physical for their gain. That's for sure. That's for sure. Let's talk about we're going to talk about your wonderful brand, and we're going to get into that when we come back from a nice little break. All right?
Yeah.
Is that cool with you?
That's what's up.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be right back on the Orange Mic Live with Alicia Cinnamon. Hey everybody, welcome back. I hope you enjoyed that wonderful commercial, because that has great significance of why we are here. I want to draw more attention to the hashtag AAR, which is Artists Against Racism. Would that be the name for the brand specifically, or is it just a hashtag that
more
you
like a movement?
Okay.
More like a movement. The brand itself, because I have so many different stuff, like everything is like customized. So the brand itself is just basically like Alicia Cinnamon apparel. So how it originally started off was I came up with I Can't Breathe shirts and masks to piggyback off my song I Can't Breathe.
Of course.
I had somebody who, well, two things were happening. One, I had wrote that song in 2013. And it became a popular phrase in 2014 when Eric Garner passed away.
Rest in peace, man.
And when I wrote it, it was a song that was basically talking about I can't breathe in a world of hate. It didn't have anything to do with him literally not being able to breathe. Then in 2017, I remixed it again. And then in 2020, we had the George Floyd incident.
Again, rest in peace.
And then I started seeing like a million I Can't Breathe songs coming out left, right, and center. And I was like, I never really wanted to profit or capitalize off of someone's death.
I understand that.
But at the same speed, I'm like, I'm not trying to get left behind in something that I essentially like got the ball rolling on.
Yeah.
And so when I started making the shirts, it was basically just to kind of like pay homage to the song, but also to kind of piggyback off of what was going on with the news situation. And then after that, it was just I started getting creative. Like I have like the I Can't Breathe shirts, and some of the other ones I have are like cute tops for women that say look but don't touch. Like the masks still say I Can't Breathe. I have my Kwanzaa outfit on, which had the Kwanzaa mask as well too. I have another one that says I love me. Like they're all just basically, I would say my apparel is more about like affirmations.
I like it.
And messages. So literally it's like a double, what do they call it? A double entendre, where the I Can't Breathe mask, like we literally are forced to wear them so we can't breathe, but then it also piggybacks off of the song. So some of them here we have like
let's take a look at it. I know we have them in the actual. I'll hold this one.
There you go. So this is the female card. I have men and women's clothes as well too. So
hope y'all can see that.
And then on the back
can't breathe.
is the fist, and then the hashtag AAR, Artists Against Racism, and then at Alicia Cinnamon. So you never forget me. You got a little piece of me with you everywhere you go.
That's right.
And then the other one is this one, which is the look but don't touch. And And this was very significant for me, where it's like a lot of
I like the material.
yeah, it's nice and soft. Like a lot of the like, especially being a female, like when you're especially sexually assaulted, it's usually like the first question is what was she wearing, how was she dressed, or whatever. So this is just the white version. I have them in red, white, and blue.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Yeah.
So go ahead, explain.
Yeah, so it's pretty much like I wanted my shirts to make a statement. So whether this is, you know, you're against racism, or whether it's a female where it's like, just because I'm dressed sexually doesn't mean that you can touch me. You can look. I can't stop you from looking, but you don't get to touch, you don't get to grope, and you're not entitled to it. So that was the main reason for me starting off my apparel, was just basically clothes that mattered, and that if you weren't, like, I'm a very outspoken person, but not everybody is. So I kind of feel like if you see that and you see a girl, she might have some great boobs, and you know it's right there, but look, enjoy the view, and go about your business.
But don't touch.
So I have like a vintage boot. I wouldn't say vintage, but like well, some of them are vintage because I like to like go back to like the 90s. So a lot of the stuff, like I'll be looking for stuff that is like kind of like 90s swag, and just very like I usually buy maybe like 2 or 3 pieces, other than the I Can't Breathe shirts.
Yeah.
Each product, like I'll maybe make like 2 or 3 of those pieces. So I was like, I'll buy the shirts and design it specifically for only 2 or 3 people, and then that's it.
Okay.
So you don't have to worry about this person's wearing the same thing as you, or this or that. Yeah. So it's basically like the person that I partnered up with is Custom Touch Designs Canada.
Okay.
And basically it's just dedicated to specifically customizing your own brand.
I like that.
Yeah.
That's really cool. That's really cool. I like the message. I really do commend you on the message. It's very strong, and
Thank
it
you.
needs to be said. And I like the fact that even though it says I can't breathe, and going back to, you said you had written a song before, you know, when it became a saying that people start to take it and run with it because of what happened to Mr. Garner.
Yeah, it was like a catch-22 because, I mean, obviously what happened with Eric Garner and George Floyd was tragic, but
very tragic.
that wasn't the meaning behind the song.
Right.
And so every time I sing it, it's like the story is very real. It's about a young man who was gunned down in Regent Park in 2013, and it always stuck with me where I'm like, the purpose of the song was to kind of like preserve Tyson's memory.
Yeah.
And then when it got overwritten by this like wave of just literally not being able to breathe, and it's like, whether it's somebody's physical or mental knee on your neck, it's like, it's crazy to me how this ended up being the slogan like less than a year later, and it's like, okay, you know, something's got to change. So whatever which way you want to rock it, whether it's, you know, you're against anti-gun violence, whether it's you're against racism, overall, and it's not just for artists, it's just for everybody. But I really, a majority of the people that purchased that brand, which I thought was pretty dope, were other artists, and it was kind of their way of saying like, you know what, I never really use my platform to talk about these things. And even if like, cause some people, like my brand is dedicated to that, so I get that kind of like leeway, where some people, it's like they've never stepped into that avenue, so it might scare away some of their fan base. So it's like, well, you know what, if you just wear the shirt, something so subtle, like I seen Shock Blair, he was wearing it like last week in an interview, and it was an interview about anti-gun violence, right?
Big up Shock Blair.
Exactly.
Wow.
And I just thought that was so dope that
that's cool.
You know, it's a very subtle and indirect way of saying this is what I stand for, without like, you know, not everybody can be like a warmonger. Like some people are a little bit more subtle with how they go about doing things.
That's
so
true.
This is the way to show that, okay, you know, I'm a part of the movement, just because you might not see me rallying and not on the picket fence, but just to let you know, like, I'm an ally. Yeah. So I have a lot of artists, big up to all the artists that purchased it, or that, you know, took it upon themselves to come get it. Whatever were the masks, the t-shirts, whatever. It's just, it felt really good to me because I know the Toronto industry is so divided. So to see other artists to support it, because it's really hard. Like my name is on the back of the shirt, so it's really hard to wear someone else's stuff with their name slapped on the back of it. Like you gotta really either respect the person or like that person. So I try not to push it on people. It's just kind of like, this is the movement. do you want to be a part of it? And then before I knew it, it was like, okay, wait, I'm like sold out. Like I need more.
That's
so,
good.
Yeah.
Congratulations on
Thank
that.
you. Thank
I
you.
really like that. I like that. And it's sad that you mentioned about how the industry in Toronto is so divided. I really wish that would change because we definitely know that there is a lot of great talent. And to be honest, with that being said, this is one of the major reasons why I even started this
Right.
this whole the Orange Mic campaign years ago, decades ago. I had it as a different name, and I just rebranded it, calling it the Orange Mic. Sorry, I can't remember my own brand. Wow, that's not good.
New show.
That's how they finish show.
Right.
Yeah. So it just doing this show and our live shows was in a way of trying to create a stage,
Right.
and put some light on the industry,
Right.
that there's so much talent
Yeah.
that people don't know about,
Yeah.
and they're sleeping on, or they know about and disregard. And
Yeah.
I'm like, no,
Yeah.
like we
Because
are
Toronto's always looking for
good.
the next thing instead
Yeah.
of nurturing what we already
Already
have. It's like we
have.
plant seeds, and as soon as it starts to blossom, it's like, all right, plant another one.
Yeah.
And it's like, how about we, water it and give
Yeah.
it some plant food and nurture it? Like, so that's why we haven't really seen, not to say that there's not, every artist is successful in their own right.
Yeah.
So it's not to discredit one's level of success, but that's why we don't see as many on that international level where
Yeah.
you can go to China and somebody knows
Yeah.
a Canadian artist's name, like, Bieber or Drake or The Weeknd or Nav or whatever. Like, the fact that we could literally list Canadian artists, like, that's a problem. It's like being able to say, I got a black friend. If you can name your black friend, you don't have enough.
Lord.
So it's the same thing. It's like when people are like, well, what about this and what about that? I'm like, okay, now name American artists and even name Jamaican artists that have reached, and Jamaica's so tiny.
Yep.
And yet still has more success stories coming out music-wise internationally. So that's when, to me, it's like, okay, we're right next door to America. So this is definitely a Canadian problem because even Jamaican artists, a third world country, most of these people are coming from some real destitute and manage to get themselves to a different level where, not to say people don't struggle in Toronto, but a lot of us, our idea of struggling is like having a mother on social assistance. And I'm not to say that's not a struggle, but imagine like
compared to
like when you look at like a Spice story where it's like, like how many of us in Canada had to say, I had to go like pee in a bush or out the doors or carry my own well water on my head top and stuff like that. It's like it's a different, not like, everybody's struggle is different, everybody's level of bottom is different.
Of course.
But that level of humility, I think sometimes is missing here because we are so quick to stun on people or when we finally like, my rent is this amount of money, so now I'm more than you. And it's like, do you own it? Like, and the stuff that we stunt on, because I feel like the Canadian culture is designed that particular way where it's like we have these safety blankets, whether it's the social insurance, whether it's grants as artists, whether it's the healthcare. There's so many of these safety blankets that we fall on where it's like, okay, well, if I push too far, I won't be able to fall back on my safety blankets. So I got to stay in this realm.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's why a lot of Canadian talent is slept on, because when you're in America and it's all or nothing, the hunger is different.
Much different.
Same thing in Jamaica. Like, there's not handouts and stuff like that. The hunger is like, it's all or nothing.
Yep.
Whereas here, it's like, worst case scenario, I can just go apply for OSAP, and as long as I'm continuously in school, I don't gotta pay it back. So there's all these different safety blankets that I personally, they're great, but I feel like it kind of makes people complacent and not really that hunger is kind of missing.
Yeah, it becomes a crutch.
Right, exactly.
Wow, that's true. You mentioned OSAP. I'm thinking how many people just want to be a professional student.
Like, it's
they don't want to come out. So
it's a catch-22, right? Because they put you again, even with whatever the system is. It's like if you're gonna utilize any part of the system, it's like, don't let the system use you. Use the system.
I agree.
That's my thought process. Like, these are like, if you can get an extra $200-$300 from the government and you're entitled to it, take it.
Take it.
I don't care about ego, pride, none of that. Take it and then go flip it into something that's gonna give you $4,000 or $5,000 afterwards until you no longer need that assistance, because it's assistance from the government. But what a lot of people do is they get completely comfortable, and they're like, well, I can't do this and I can't do that because
Yep.
it'll mess with my comfort. And it's like, is that extra $200 or $300 really worth it when you know you can go? Like, a lot of us will hold on to that 200 or 300
Yep.
because and like because it's secure, but really we could have got that 3,000 or 4,000.
Yep.
And a lot of it has to do with, you know, pride and ego, and the way that, like, there's classism in this country or province, whatever you want to call it, is so very real. And then I find that kind of trickles into the music industry as well too, where in the urban world, your come up story in any other country
Yeah.
is what makes you that artist. Canada doesn't want a come up story. Like, they want you to already live in the suburbs, have your house and your car and everything mapped out, and you're perfectly made. They don't want to hear that struggle story until after you've made it. Whereas in America, you're literally, or even in Jamaica, like, you knew Bob was struggling.
Yeah.
You knew Cardi B was a stripper. Like, you knew what you were getting yourself into. Most Canadian artists, we don't get to tell our story, if we get to tell our story, until the very, very, very end. And it's like, wow, this is what they went through. So for me, I just take a different route where it's like, I'm going to be as transparent as I possibly can, because God forbid I don't reach the levels that I'm supposed to get at. Like, you're gonna know why. It's not gonna be like, oh, she wasn't trying or she's not talented. It's like, well, there's a million different roadblocks, and that's why she didn't get it. But we've seen this girl hustle 24/7. Do I not think I'm gonna get there? No, I don't like to believe that. But if it doesn't, at least I was the narrator of my own story, as opposed to waiting until I pass away and there's a Lifetime biopic that, like, put some white girl to play Alicia Cinnamon.
That would be bad casting.
She ain't got no space in her teeth. Like,
that's some horrible casting.
oh man.
I don't know who's gonna do that.
But I mean, that's what it is. It's like, if you don't tell your story, and especially in Caribbean culture, but particularly Black culture, it's like, we are taught not to share our stories. And me growing up with a lot of Native Canadians, or Indians, whatever you want to call them, Native Americans, one thing that I really learned was the art of sharing stories. It's like, they pass down so much information through stories.
Wow.
And we don't really do that. So it's like, within the next 1 or 2 generations, it's like, you don't even know how you got to this point or why you got to this point. And it's, the cycle just keeps on repeating over and over and over again. So it's like, okay, we have to put aside this pride, and, like, it's okay if you struggled. It's okay if you failed. It's okay if you had hard times. Like, the more you talk is the more you realize that you're not the only person that's going through it.
Yeah.
And I think, especially being a musician, it's the art of telling a story through my music. So it's like, if I'm not telling you my true, authentic self, like, story, why am I making music? Like, Keisha can already tell you her life. Becky can already tell her life. You need to hear from Alicia Cinnamon's life story. So that is one thing that I feel, for me, has been a little bit different, is that I've been very transparent with my audience, just so they know what it is that I went through. For the most part. I mean, there's a lot they don't know, but for the most part.
Yeah. That's good. Well, you know what's beautiful? I want to, well, you were saying something about, you know, you're the narrator of your own story. And I'm going to say, you know, just because we always like to speak positive, and of course you say, I don't understand why you say it, but we're going to make sure that we're going to say that being the one telling your story, we're going to speak that the end of the story, or closer to the end, from today on, is pure prosperity, success, and complete, you know, accolades of the talent that you have is out there, and nothing but, you know, success, complete success. You know what I mean? So for our audience, let's have a conversation about your musical journey. I would like to have a conversation about, let's talk about where the music kind of started from, where it is now, and what do you see in the, you know, in the future.
Good question. My musical journey, pretty much, my dad, he was a DJ, or his crew was called the Untouchable Music.
Yeah.
And so they were one of the founders, particularly like Scarborough, Brampton, Jamaica, obviously. When he came here, I just remember, like, we grew up in Brampton. I just remember, like, my dad, like, leaving with his crates, and literally crates, like,
digging in the
push
crates,
play stuff.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, like, where's he going? Like, you know, like, I want to go. And all of my siblings, like, my dad's a DJ, so Papa was a Rolling Stone. There's 15 of us, and all of my siblings are no, let me take that back. I would say 85% of my siblings are some way, shape, or form like musically inclined.
Okay.
Like one of my brothers wrote. He used to like do ghostwriting, and I don't even know if we're allowed to say this, but I know he wrote like some songs for like Exhibit, like some people in Wu-Tang and stuff like that. Yeah. My sister, she does a lot of like backup singing and stuff like that. My cousin is Deborah Cox, so it's just like we had a very musical family growing up where I had so many people to be inspired by.
Yeah.
But one of the things that really stood out for me the most, my dad having so many kids, is like he had to space himself out and how much time he spent with each child. And so like him driving to work, like he used to deliver hair products, and when he was driving to work, we would go down to like Spadina and Chinatown, and he would like quiz me on like different songs. Like I remember like Aaliyah, At Your Best, and like Lisette, Young, Sad, and Blue. Like little songs like that. He would quiz me. Can you sing this? Can you hit that note? Whatever. And my dad can sing. Like he sounds like Sanchez. So it was one of those where my mom used to always get mad because like I was so much more like him than her. Like my mom was very athletic.
Really?
She ran track with Ben Johnson, but she can't sing. So so it was one of those where it's like, oh, you're your father's child. Like, and knowing the lifestyle of a musician.
Yeah.
My mother never wanted me to do music because of, I guess, what she went through. Like, as a woman, you grew up and you realize, like, okay, yeah, I see it. Yeah. So, I always, when I got in the industry, like, I never wanted to come off the strength of my dad's name. I was like, nobody needs to know who I am. Nobody knows who I'm related to. Like, if you like me, and that's it. And then when people started realizing, like, wow, like, my godbrother, like, we were doing shows. He didn't realize because, like, he was raised by my dad when my dad moved to Winnipeg. Okay. So he didn't realize that we were, like, I was my dad's daughter. Oh. And it's like 6 degrees of separation where we were supposed to be doing stuff and whatever. And then finally one day, like, he see me post my dad. He's like, I knew it. And he's like, you just have, like, there's something about you, like your attitude or whatever it is. And he's like, there's a reason why. He's like, now everything about you makes sense. Why you don't take bull, why you're like, because my dad is still like, you'll never catch my dad like warring on Facebook with another sound man. Like if we have a sound clash, we have a sound clash. Like, so it's one of those where it's like the music was just so real and like the rudical type of music and what I grew up on. I'm like, yeah, I could do the dance hall and this and that, but like that's not what I grew up on. I grew up on the Sunday morning tunes and stuff like that. So I now want people, when you're cleaning your house on Sunday morning, to listen to my stuff that's gonna piss off your kids. But in 20 years, they're gonna be playing it. Like, yeah. So like to me, like when I realized, I'm like, man, I used to hate this song, but so
now you love it.
Right, and it's long-term music. Like anybody can make what's trending. But I want to make like timeless music. Like I want you to remember when you heard Singing the Blues or I Can't Breathe. Like it's like, wow, like. Yeah. I remember seeing this, and I had a lady to tell me, she's like, oh, I remember the first time I saw you were singing I Can't Breathe. I'm like, the fact that you can remember that, and this was like 2013, like, that means so much as an artist. And then
that's great.
This goes back into being able to write your own stuff. Like, I don't wrong anybody, if like, especially as singers, like, you know, the greats have done it, but when you know that somebody related to something that you wrote and it's something that you actually experienced, like not only do you feel like a healer, but it's therapy for you as well too. Yeah. Because it's like, okay, I'm not the only person. Like it's not something wrong with me. It's you. I'm doing.
Definitely.
It's you. Like, you know, it's just like, and music is always supposed to be therapy. Like, and
that's for
we as Black people, we've always used music for messages, and I feel like we've lost that that art of expressing ourselves through the music, whether it was the drumming planes in Africa or whatever. Like it was always about the message, and I feel like it's kind of getting back there
a little bit,
slowly, but you know, we gotta fight.
True.
Like we gotta like Lauryn Hill. Like I probably watch an interview of Lauryn Hill at least every month, like from since like I was about 15 or 16 years old. There's never been like a year that's gone by and she's only got one major album that I don't listen to that album back to back to back, that I don't go and watch her interviews. And something that she said that stood out to me like forever is she said, you know, she doesn't make music, she doesn't write her music, God does, and he uses her as a vessel. And she's like, when you're a vessel of God, you got to be prepared to be used for the good, the bad, and the ugly. And a lot of people think when they're God's children, they're God's vessel, that is just supposed to be all the great stuff and the messages. No, you're gonna get your ass whooped, you're gonna get beaten up, people are gonna hate you, they're gonna call you crazy, all these other stuff. So whenever I go through those moments, like I look at like Lauryn Hill, and I think like she had, you know, the Fuji album and the acoustic album that came after, but as we all say, one album 25, 30 years later, and that made an impact. You don't need a million songs to reach people. Like,
we were actually talking about that album, like I think it was earlier this week, I think, and I was like saying, man, like if one song came on this playlist that we were listening to, and I was just like, geez, that album, like, that album. I remember when that album came out, and from a musician's point of view, I tried so hard. Not that I was looking for anything kind of faultish, but I was looking, where was there anything on this album that you can tell that there was, I'm not gonna write as hard on this song. Right. Everything, even the dialogues in between the songs,
the skits in between were crazy. Like when the kids were talking about love, like especially the skit between I think it was Doo-Wop, That Thing. And when the kids are like, sometimes love be like, and I'm like, I remember, like, I know the skit verbatim, like, she's like, yeah, because we really love somebody, and I'm like, wow, like, this is, and I remember when I first heard it, like, now that I take it in as an adult, but when I took it in as a child, it made sense. And when I take it in as an adult, it's like, wow.
Yes.
And one of the songs for me, because, like, I had my son at a very young age, was Zion. Because when I was pregnant with him, and I was going through drama classes, and like we always had to do presentations, and that was a song that I was like, I need, like, that was like my go-to song. And my drama teacher, like, everyone was so supportive because nobody knew what to do. It's like, we got this young teenage girl here, she's pregnant, and she wants to do music, and she's really, really talented, and we haven't seen it done before, especially in Canada, to say that you're able to make the music, you're able to be a mom, and have the stigma of being a teen mom on top of that. So that song, Zion, it stuck with me because it's just like, okay, she wasn't that much older than me, and she still managed to make like a name for herself. And she went against the grain, and at the end of the day, it was like, it was worth it for her. And I thought that was such a big thing, because obviously for me, being young, it's like, you hear that, don't do this and don't do that, and I was just like, nah. And when I heard that song, I was just like, I don't think there's many songs I can think of off the top of my head that fit that mood. Like, talking about literally she's talking about, you know, the idea of having an abortion. And you don't really hear it in such a deep way of how she expressed that, because that's such a normal circumstance that a lot of people go through. But for different reasons, as to, for her was career, whatever, it could be family, it could be friends, just not the right timing, whatever. And that song kind of solidified my choice, where I'm like, okay, this kid needs to come to light. Like,
and that name alone.
Thank you.
Zion.
Exactly.
Yo, man. Big up to Lauryn Hill. If you ever watch this, I'm just gonna put a shameless plug in there.
Facts.
The Orange Mic Live is calling you.
We love you.
Yes, please come back. Do something with us.
So it's like, once I heard that, and it stuck with me, and then I just became really obsessed with her and her intellect. And realizing, I'm like, you know, even like me getting into like rapping, I was like, she was as good as a rapper as she was a singer. Like, if I can't do it that good, I'm not doing it at all.
And you know what's funny? Because I've gone back and watched a lot of her live performances, because I love the Roots. She does stuff with the Roots and with her band, and they kind of come together. And then she speeds up a lot of her songs live. I'm like, you sing it fast, and then you do your sap. We call it sap. When you're rapping, sapping. You do that even faster. And it's like, and the staccato. It's like everything is there. But like, sometimes I question, why would you speed up so much? But still, forget that. The talent is right there. And I'm like, wow.
For her, what I realized, so two things is, one, this new tour that she was doing was the African Diaspora tour. So everything was Afrobeats influenced. So when she switched it, it's like to fit that African vibe, but then also because she's under contract still. Where she can't get out unless she makes music, and she's a rebel, so she's like, I'm only gonna make the music I want to make. So if you guys want me to keep singing these songs, she's like, you know, like when I opened for Donnell Jones and he forgot the lyrics of Where I Want to Be, we all in the audience knew the lyrics.
Yeah.
And we're like, how could you forget? But it's like we have that on our playlist.
Yeah.
Sometimes like there's songs that I literally have to like write right before a performance because I need it for that specific, and then I'm gone about my business.
Yeah.
So it might resonate. Somebody might have that in their playlist over and over and over again. But to me, I'm like, man, I don't even remember that song.
Because
like,
you've been writing and keep
right,
going,
exactly.
going.
Or if you don't write your own stuff, then it's easy to forget it.
That's another thing.
So I think with her, well, not even think, like I was watching her interviews and she was basically saying, like, if I can't put out the music if I can't put out new music, then I'm just going to remake my old music so that it sounds like what I would have put out today.
Okay.
So her contract, she's still, it goes deep. Like she's still under, lock and key or whatever, where she's like, the only way to get out of this contract is if I give them what they want, and I refuse to, so I'm always going to be somewhat of a slave, so to speak. And I feel like that's the only way for her to make new music is to speed it up. So when I seen her, I went and I watched her, and I noticed that because people were complaining about it. First of all, she was on time for me, because I was late, so it worked for me.
Well, that's another side we don't talk about.
It worked for me, but I'm like, do people really think like the concert starts at 8 and like she's going on stage at 8? Like you
8.
can tell who actually does and does not go to concerts.
Come on now.
I'm like, buddy, if the concert starts at 8, you're not seeing the main artist till about 10 o'clock. Get used to go buy your snacks.
Yep.
Sit down, go have a cigarette, go watch the opening acts or whatever it is that you need to do. Relax your skin, and then just enjoy the show. So when I seen her, I think let's say doors open at 8. I think she started about 9. That made sense to me. I'm like, me as an artist, that's pretty much what I do as well too.
That's actually early.
Yeah.
To be honest.
I was like, what did you guys really expect? Like when I heard this, I was like, what kind of concerts are you guys going to where they say 8 o'clock and it starts right at 8 o'clock? Like it takes like an hour to get everybody from outside inside in the first place. I don't want to be in line while the concert's already going on. Like that doesn't make sense. So a lot of the stuff that people were complaining about, I'm like, and then when I watched her on stage, and she's like the conductor as well too. She's not just singing. Like if some don't sound right to her, she's turning around and telling this person to fix up that note and this note or whatever. So I'm just like, when you're a perfectionist, it can make or break you because you will find every single flaw. Meanwhile, we're like, I didn't even notice that guy was off key, but whatever. So it's those little things where it's like she wants to give people such an amazing show that you end up being late because we don't know what she was doing the night before or earlier on in the day to get that stuff prepared. Like I know it's like I had that issue where I'm like, okay, I love doing everything by myself. And then when crunch time breaks down to it, it's like, okay, I needed help. I should have asked, but I didn't. And now I'm probably going to be late. And it's not because I don't respect the people or the time. It's like because of how much I wanted to put into everybody else enjoying themselves that I really underestimated how much time I really have to do all of this or whatever. Sometimes your brain is bigger than your body, so to speak.
That's true.
I think that's what it is. And I mean, I don't want to say I want to be the next Lauryn Hill because I don't want to be the next anybody, but if I had to do like a comparison or somebody that I would like to, I guess, model my career afterwards, it would be Lauryn.
That's cool. That's cool. That's cool. She's done so much motivational stuff, man. I like the fact she's doing things or trying to do things her way. Yeah. To be honest, really, because nobody wants to be tied down to the record company and labels to do what they want. Right. We've heard so much stories from the great ones, like I still can't forget what Michael went through, and then Prince was another one. Man, there's so many others.
But the only person who's never not spoken out of the industry, I would say, is Beyonce and Jay-Z. On that level, like anybody else, even Elvis at some point in time is like, enough is enough. Like anybody who's ever got into that level, I've never heard one person say, yeah, I was grateful for that record deal. Like, maybe in the moment.
Yeah, in the beginning.
Right. Yeah. But even Toni Braxton, like when she's like, man, I went bankrupt because I didn't realize how much money, like it's a loan. And people don't realize these record deals are loans, and you got to pay that back or at least make them enough money back. Where if they invested $60 million in you, they want to make sure that they get back at least $70 million afterwards. Otherwise, this is a waste. And 99% of artists fail within their first year. And now where everything is like you can create an artist overnight, nobody's giving you that second chance for a sophomore album or whatever the case may be. Like you got to come hard and consistently because there's always somebody ready to take your place. Where I looked back in the days and it's like Mariah, even though they tried to play up Mariah with Whitney, they never sounded alike. You can never really find two artists that sounded alike until that weird transition, I would say, with like DMX and Ja Rule when people started getting confused, and then things started happening where it's like, hey, that person kind of sounds like so and so, so let's bust them. Pop Smoke sounds like Lloyd Banks or this or that, so let's bust this person. Or Ariana Grande sounds like Mariah Carey, so let's bust them. And it's like, hello, hi, we're still here.
Yeah.
Like, I would never want to hear, like, yeah, this is the new and improved Alicia Cinnamon. No, like, I'm still there. Like, so so, like, when people used to tell me, like, oh, you remind me of a young Julie Black. Like, no, don't say that. I don't want Julie to hate me.
Yeah.
Like, no, I have, like, a resemblance, especially with this gap teeth. Like, there's a resemblance, because that's one thing that she told me. She's like, never close your gap. I'm like, why do people keep saying that? It's never crossed my mind. Like,
you know,
thanks, guys.
Oh my gosh, that's why it's so bad, because people do that. They try to change you. It's
yeah.
Like, you know, maybe you should do this. Maybe you should do that.
No, there's nothing.
It's
like,
horrible.
My mom closed her gap when she was like 50, and it's so weird. Me looking at her now, I'm like, so who do I look like? Like, why did you do that? Like, it's weird. Like, you're eating your McDonald's, you gotta take out your dentures. Like, you didn't think this all. Sorry, Mom. Like,
oh no.
Like, you didn't think this all the way through. So it's like, I don't want to be that person that, like, whatever, that's your problem. Like, I'm okay with me, like, flaws and all. Like, I've accepted every aspect of me where I don't. I mean, but that's Toronto.
Yeah.
Like, that's why I wouldn't go to a place like LA or whatever where they thrive off of
Oh my God.
the aesthetics. You gotta know
everything's a flaw.
Yeah, exactly.
But, you know,
exactly, and
like,
you're never gonna be satisfied. That's one thing that I looked at. It's like, you're always gonna find something wrong. So I don't want to waste that kind of money trying to
That's a waste.
figure it out.
What they don't realize that the human body itself still grows
Exactly.
over time. You may fix
Exactly.
something today, and it's fixated in one way.
Right.
Once the rest of your face, the rest of your body grows,
Yeah.
that thing looks completely awkward.
Well, a lot of people don't wait for the swelling process to go down.
They go back
right.
again.
So you haven't really let yourself settle in.
That money that money is that money is wasted. Man.
Like, and everybody's shaped the same. Everybody looks like Kim Kardashian, even
Yeah.
the black girls. I'm just like, this is weird now.
Yeah.
Like, I like looking like a different person.
Like
Like
yourself.
I don't want exactly. Like, I think it's weird. Like, why would I want to go have the exact same face as 17 other girls before me, or the
God.
exact same body shape? Like, it's just,
Yeah.
and especially as women, like, as much as men place those insecurities on us, I don't think we realize how much they don't care. They really don't. They really do
you heard her,
not
right? Okay.
care when
Please.
the adrenaline is pumping and they're ready to go. They ain't worried about if your titties is up here or down here. Like, they don't. They don't care. That's what I paid attention to health class, and I remember my teacher saying, when them endorphins are going and the adrenaline is pumping, whatever's in front of him is the best looking thing on the face of the planet. So I'm just like,
Wow.
I'm not gonna go here and fix it myself for your 20 minutes of pleasure. Forget that. Like,
She said, "Don't care."
doesn't matter.
Listen,
Like,
and then when they do all that stuff to change up their body, they better stay away from flammable products. Ooh, I've seen some accidents. Have you seen some
don't
things
kill
gone
me.
wrong?
Like, at least do your homework. Like, when I'm seeing girls getting cement body and things like that, it's just like, why? Like, you know, like, when I was in Atlanta, and it was so interesting. It's like, I passed by a bus stop, like, come get your ass done. And I was like, it was like a dental ad. Like, I was like, just like that, eh? Like, you just go in today with a flat ass and come out tomorrow with a big old booty, and nobody's gonna notice the difference. But
So something's different about
right?
you.
Like, I don't know what you're talking. I've been thick. Like,
or you say stuff like, "Oh, I just been to the gym. I went to do like
right?
a
Now
little-"
you want to squat. Like, if you had done that before, you wouldn't have paid how much money to go disform your body. And, like, no
Yeah.
disrespect. If this is what you want to do, I just feel like
Hey.
a lot of people are doing it out of laziness. I feel like
For the
the
wrong
same
reasons.
stuff that you want to achieve, if you spent a little extra time on yourself.
Yep.
Like, before COVID, I was like 100 pounds. Now, you know, I was like, all I gotta do is eat. But, and it wasn't like, because when people are like, oh, what are you doing a diet? I'm like, I'm really not. I'm just like not having a regular eating schedule.
Yeah.
And because when I started getting into modeling, I had it was like a European agency that I was with, so they had this look like, oh, if you just lost 10 pounds and this and that,
Yeah,
like, look,
yeah.
if I lose anything else, I'm gonna lose me. Okay, so we're gonna stop right here, like, because now thick is in, and then it just clicked to me. I'm like, man, screw all these beauty standards, because when I was thick, it's like, oh, be skinny, and then when I was skinny, it's like, go be thick. So I'm just gonna do whatever my body feels like doing. I'm gonna eat and enjoy my food and listening to my body, and when it says to stop, and if I feel like working out, I'm gonna work out. But it's like, if I'm not gonna sculpt my entire body and then not be able to maintain it, like if you were lazy before that, you're gonna be lazy afterwards, and that's where all those complications come into place. Like, you really have to be dedicated going to the gym. You got to keep up your upkeeps of the body. It's like, it's like having a car. You don't just get an oil change once. Like, you got to keep going back and getting that done. And it's like, do I really want to do that for the rest of my life until I finally remove this substance out of my body? Like, it's not worth it.
No, it's not worth it at all.
But kudos to the girls that do it.
Hey.
No shade. Don't come for me.
If
Just saying, I'm lazy.
that's
cheap.
if that's what they do, that's fine.
Like, right now, getting your body done is social status. It's like when all these people getting their horse teeth. Like, you don't look good, and you looked a lot better before, but it's a status to say, I got my teeth done.
I said, look.
Like, whatever. And
like,
They don't look like Steve Harvey.
you know what I mean? I'm like, why did you get them done like that? And is everybody going to the same doctor? Like, I don't understand how come everybody's teeth look like chitlins. It's like,
it's
why
like
is that the standard? Like, can't shave them down a little bit? Like,
oh my god, that's hard.
right? It's the wide.
Oh man, wine stocking, eh?
I'm telling you, like, I will keep my gap teeth and all. Like, I'm perfectly fine with that, because I'm like, based on what I gather, like, if I were to cap this would look ridiculous. So it's like, I don't think people think about,
Don't do it.
like, how they're like, some guy was like, oh, make sure you don't, like, it was on Facebook, like I said, I love me, and he's like, oh, make sure you don't close your teeth like Keisha Cole so you can't sing anymore. And I was like, what? Like, how did you get all of that? All I said was, I love me. Is there something you want to talk about?
What are you going through?
How did you analyze all of that? But it's true, though. Like, because for me, like, I know a lot of my breathing comes from having the space in the teeth. Like, even the way that I spit through the space in my teeth. So I always thought of, like, if I close that, would I have to learn how to, like, re-talk? And, it's just like getting braces. Your mouth structure changes and all that stuff. And I'm like, that's kind of like, I don't have time for that. Like,
No.
I'm going to die anyways. Like, let me just enjoy me, yeah?
I can only be me. Only me.
That is all. It's a sign of, but no, it's just everybody in my family had it. So to me, it was like so normal. So when I started seeing people like do the opposite, it was weird to me, because like if you study African culture, like in West Africa, it's a sign of beauty. So I was like, it wasn't until I actually got into European culture, and I was like, when I go to the dentist, like, oh, do you want to close your space? And I was like, for what?
Why?
Like, I just want my teeth whitened. Like, what are you trying to say, Mr. Chin? Like, trying to tell me something? Like, the moral of the story is, like I said with the tracksuits, I love me. Love
That's
yourself.
it. Love yourself. Wow. Oh man. So let the people know where we can find your future. Or no, I shouldn't say future, because maybe you don't want to put it out there yet. I know you're always in the lab working on stuff, which is great. But to your wonderful following and your fans and your supporters out there, let them know where they can reach you and find anything that they can follow you on, specifically, that they can be notified of any upcoming projects that you have coming up.
So pretty much you can just follow me on Alicia Cinnamon. Anything you type in, whether it's Google, Spotify, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Alicia Cinnamon, all pops up. My new single, the Reviolution, has been televised. That's on Spotify. Any of your favorite online streaming platforms, check that out. The music video is also on YouTube as well too. I have a sexy new single that came out for my birthday, which is in November. It's called Give It To Me. That video is also online as well too. And a lot of Christmas collaborations. Christmas just passed, and I released 2 Christmas songs for the first time ever.
Oh, that's cool.
we heard the cover today, I Saw Mommy Kissing Santa Claus, but I also did a
that's really cool.
combination with a group. It's called The Night Before M is the album.
Okay.
And pretty much like it's 3 females, myself, Miss Tulip, and Keisha Brown, who is actually a comedian from Brampton.
Mm-hmm.
And she did a great
Big
job
up.
on the track. Shout out Keisha. And yeah, it's just basically, the song is called We Three Queens. It's like a play off of We Three Kings.
Cool.
And yeah, it's to me, it was just when Miss Tulip reached out to me for this song, it was so important because
Yeah.
I had been discussing collaborations with females prior to that, but nothing ever happened. And I think a lot of it is like a lot of us have reservations because I've done features before and I was like, I ain't doing no more because like they're, you know, if you and the artist are not on the same page in terms of the marketing
Yeah.
or performances or whatever the case may be. So I was like, okay, you know, I really want to do stuff with females because especially in Canada, Toronto, you don't see females collaborating at all. Like you won't see like a WAP, like how Cardi and Meg did it. So when she reached out to me and she was on the same wave, like she's like, honestly, like I was so skeptical of reaching out to anybody to do the track. And I was like, you know, when we vibe, because obviously we're following each other on social assistance on social media, and we've been vibing prior to that. But like when I actually met her and it's like we linked up and we did the track, and I realized, especially even Keisha, I'm like, we've known each other for so long and we've never like had conversations or other than like, you know, like a hi and bye here and there on Facebook.
Yeah.
It's like you're dope and this person's dope, and it's like what's hindering us so much. And I found like it was just because that mindset of there can only be one female.
Wow.
We were all looking at each other like competitions, like I really like that girl, but if I tell people I like her, then they might stop liking me and like her more than me. So I felt like this was a way to show, like I started off my organization as Northern Queens, and I still, like we're revamping that for 2021. And it's like any female, like, yo, if you want to get involved in this female movement, hit me up, Northern Queens movement, because we need to be united as females, especially in the Toronto music industry, because there can be more than one of us. Like, I've never met a female in the industry that sounds like me, and I don't think I sound like anybody.
Yeah.
So it's like, if you're rapping and you're tap dancing and you're doing this and that, whatever, it's like, why are we competing instead of, like, collaborating and enhancing each other's sounds? So
Yep.
that's all that I'm about for 2021 there's a lot of collaborations.
That's cool.
And I kind of stepped back from that a while, so I'm really happy with the collaborations that I have, and I'm open to more collaborations. The clothing line has just been expanding constantly. I got new pieces coming in all the time. What else? Just my strategy, I've been consistent so far, is really just releasing a new song a new song or video every month.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah,
That's
so
good.
I'm gonna try to keep that. I've been like, I think I came up with that in like maybe September.
Yeah.
So like so far I've done 3. So like I'm gonna keep that consistently going through till
Okay.
2021 and see how that goes in terms of stream, because I'm more of a performing artist.
Yeah.
So now tapping into the whole streams and all that stuff is like interesting for me. It's like, okay, I'm used to getting booked and that's great, but now it's like I have a great social media presence. I gotta start utilizing
Use
that
it.
and really see, you know, how this technology world works. So
Yeah.
we'll see what happens.
Well, totally. All the best to that. I
Thank you.
think that's going to be great because obviously with the fan base that you already built already,
Right.
it's going to be a nice transition
Right.
to them to see, you know, the virtual side, the social media side, you know,
Right.
the online, the streaming side, all that. It's just going to be great. Yeah.
Thank you.
Don't worry about nothing.
Yeah.
We got nothing to worry about. Plus, all the branding with all the
Yeah.
merch and all that stuff is great. The message is strong. So the response will be there.
Yeah, I think the hardest part for me is just deciding if I want to remain independent.
Okay.
That's the decision for 2021, because there's a lot of different offers. I love being independent, but it's like I feel like the message that I have, the whole world needs to hear it.
Yeah.
And there's only so much you can do as an independent artist.
Yeah,
So that's
with
that
some
catch.
distribution,
Yeah,
right? Distribution,
exactly.
yeah.
I'm like, I want a distribution deal, putting it out there. It's like, I don't necessarily need to be signed, but a nice distribution deal is what I want.
Yeah.
Putting it out there for 2021, because
Yeah.
I just feel like it's not like I'm not doing the music to be rich and famous and all that stuff. Like, really, in the last field I would jump into if
Yeah.
I wanted to be rich and famous.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, the
Yeah.
money goes out first, you guys.
Yeah.
Just take that in for all you new age people that want to pop up and be
Yeah.
rappers and artists. Understand, this is not a
Yeah.
joke thing. This is a real career,
Yeah.
and it's an investment.
Yep.
It's the definition of entrepreneurship. And for me, it's just like, I feel like I have a lot of wisdom that I just want to share with people, and I feel like that's my purpose in life.
Yeah.
And in terms of being a vessel of God, I feel like I'm supposed to be sharing messages with people, and the only way I can really do that, from what I've gathered so far, is through my platform and through music. So
Okay.
when I'm telling people, oh, buy the music, listen to the music, it's not because I'm trying to get rich or get money off that or whatever. It's because I feel like there's a greater purpose to the music that I'm putting out there.
I like that. That purpose will definitely be fulfilled because you're not going to give up on it. And
Definitely not.
yeah, man. And we support you on that, you know, as we like to be like artists that support artists and artists for
Exactly.
artists, you know. That's what we ought to do. So I'm glad that we had this opportunity to have you on the show.
Thank you.
Bless us with your presence and have you on the show. Of course, like I said earlier on, making the Orange Mic, like, man, on fire. I really, really appreciate it. And we appreciate your songs, your
Thank you.
songwriting, your purpose, your talent,
Thank you.
your gifts, your message, and we wish you all the best.
Thank you.
And guaranteed, you know that this is not your only time on the show. We know this already. We're going to be bringing you back,
Yeah.
of course, for anything
Sure.
that we have in the future. And I know that in the future, just to let everybody know, that we're going to be having a show that we will have numerous powerful female
Right.
artists who are well known, have a strong backing, strong catalog, and
Nice.
and talent, and we want you involved with that so that
Sure.
it will be a show to help people understand and hear your voices, hear your stories,
Right.
all together as a group, you know. And really want to make sure people pay attention
Thank
and
you.
drive that message home that listen,
Right.
man, the talent that we have here, you're stupid if you're not paying attention.
Facts.
It's so good.
There's way too much. Like, whatever you guys are paying attention to, scratch it.
Scratch
Start paying attention
it.
to some new stuff. Like,
Yeah, yeah,
like
yeah, man.
seriously, like I think the hardest part, again, like, there's so many artists that come out of the city
Yeah,
that it's hard for people to focus because every new day an artist is born.
a new one.
Yeah.
And then they sound exactly the same as
Yeah.
a person that just left or
Basically,
whatever from
because
yesterday.
they're literally on Instagram watching people and stealing sounds. So
Yeah.
this goes to DJs, podcasters, bloggers, whatever. Stop promoting whack artists.
Yep.
Stop promoting artists that you know didn't
Message.
invest in themselves. Stop being biased about the artists that you didn't like or don't like because they didn't comment the right way on your
Yep.
status or this or that. Get rid of the ego. And if you're
Yep.
really about building a Toronto industry, and when somebody asks you who's popping in the city, it doesn't necessarily mean numbers. It's who's good enough
Yeah.
to take your city to the next level.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the stuff that people are doing, it's like these people might have numbers, but they're embarrassing the heck out of us. And
Yeah.
it needs to stop.
Yeah.
Because people are only going to be paying attention to us for so long before they move to another city. And be like,
Yeah.
you know what, Toronto's had its time to shine.
Yeah.
We're not playing so well in the basketball in basketball anyways. So I don't think we get another championship.
Oh man.
Just saying, I'll step it
Oh,
up. So
man.
if we don't get this championship, y'all, nobody's paying attention to us after this. So we need to do what we need to do between the Junos and the championships that we just had. Junos being in Toronto this year.
Yeah.
Everybody needs to step up and start making Toronto, like, there's too many opportunities that people have looked on us and then
Yeah.
turned their backs.
Yeah.
And looked on us and turned their backs.
Yeah.
Like, we should consistently, the way how people constantly look at LA or New York or Atlanta,
Yeah.
like, and Atlanta had its moment where people are like, your music is from down south, ain't nobody listen to that.
Yeah.
And now it's like, that's the
Poppin'.
mecca.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
So I'm like, that should show you. And they put on their own in terms of all, you turn on the radio station and you're hearing Atlanta artists.
Yeah.
It's not, you got to wait for the, Atlanta artist
Yeah.
hour at 6 o'clock.
No.
Like, no, that's
And
ridiculous.
in that 1 hour, they play the majority
Right?
of the.
You're only gonna
person-
play like Ludacris or somebody who's well known already, like T.I. or
come
whatever.
on
It's
now.
like, come on now, like, yeah, okay, all Canadian hour, and you're playing Drake and Bieber in the weekend. Like, big up Drake and get him all his sales and whatever. But Drake is not gonna miss that one little radio spin. Now, like, put on somebody else. Like, he's had 10 years solid, solid.
Yeah.
Solid. Like, there's other people out here. Drake is lit, but if y'all like Drake, I'm just saying there's a lot of lit people in the city of
Yep.
Toronto, and we as other artists, like, like, again, big up yourself, Mo Spence. It don't take nothing for me
Yes.
to big up another female, another
Yes.
artist, because it's not going to take away from me as a brand. And that's what every single artist should be doing, is
That's good
just
to
paying
hear.
it forward, because we don't listen to it. When I listen to my music every morning, I'm not just listening to one song and
Yeah.
one artist.
Yeah.
There's an eclectic variety of artists. So if I can listen to Wu-Tang and Bob and Shania Twain and all this
Mm-hmm.
other stuff, like, why can't I tell people about 6 different Canadian artists that are doing
Yeah.
their thing? Like,
Yeah.
it's not going to take away from me. If I'm good enough, people will see it. And if
Exactly.
I'm not, then I need to go hold a corner. Like, simple.
Yeah. Yeah.
Simple things. Like,
Yo,
credit where it's due.
appreciate the talent, and that's what we need to do, and support it.
Right.
My goodness, we don't support it enough. Man. Wow.
But yeah.
Well, this has been an amazing segment and episode, and thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Because this is like the first few shows of the Orange Mic Live, and
Right.
it's just it's great that we're starting off on a great,
Exactly.
on a great bang,
Exactly.
big bang. You know what I mean?
That's what's up.
All right.
It's only up for 2021. Done now.
Yeah. Is there anything you want to tell your people before we say goodbye?
Thank y'all for tuning in and
Yeah.
watching the interview. Make sure when you watch this, you like, comment, reshare,
All
and
right. Tell them.
subscribe to the
Tell
channel.
them again.
And then come back and like it again and watch it a couple more times.
Yep.
And
And
you know,
tell
just
everybody.
thank you to everybody who's ever played an Alicia Cinnamon track, booked
Yeah.
me, supported me, liked, comment. Like, I'm very aware of who is for me. So even if I don't individually get to thank you, like, trust me, like, the thanks is there, and I'm very appreciative.
That's beautiful. And it's good that the people can hear you actually say that
Right.
to them. You know what I mean? That's much, much love and respect. So again, I know we thanked you so much time, but I don't want to end the episode. It's going so fun.
Like, thank you, no,
But-
thank you, no, thank you.
No, thank you. On three,
Cut.
on three, 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Right, exactly.
Oh man. Until next time, and then we're definitely gonna have you back. The Orange Mic Live. We are so grateful, and everyone out there again, like she said, thank you so much for watching and tuning in. We want to make sure that you keep watching the Orange Mic Live, an artist showcase for upcoming episodes in our shows, whether it be this show or the other show, which is our talk show. This is just conversations on the Orange Mic. You know what I mean? But we want to make sure you tune in for everything, and don't miss a show. Trust me, we're going to be getting bigger and better as we go on. All right. Thanks again. And then the last time, thank you so much, Alicia Cinnamon, for being on the
Thank
show.
you.
Hey, there. Make
All right,
sure,
I'm leaving now.
make sure you get her merch. Remember, look,
Yes,
but
yes.
you can't touch.
Exactly. Tell them again.
We're going to make sure you get all the information for Alicia Cinnamon and her handles and information to get some of her merch in the descriptions, and make sure you all stay tuned until next time. I'm Kurt Berry. This is Alicia Cinnamon.
Peace.
Back there is Mo Spence.
Done now. Big up.
Big up Mo Spence. And we want
Big
to
up
thank
to the
you.
audience.
Oh yeah. Big up to the audience. Say hi. Yes. Thank you, everybody. Love and respect. And we'll see you on the next show.
Bye.
Bye bye.